Vintage cars, trucks, hot rods, hundreds of them will be on display later this morning at the 14th annual Cruisin on Main Street event. If you like old cars, this is the place for you. All of it taking place in historic downtown Manchester. News 8's Brian Spyros joins us now live with a preview of the event. I was a little upset to hear, Brian, that all it takes is 25 years old to be an antique. That made me feel a little old this morning, actually.
It made me feel a little old too, not really. So yeah, a car needs to be at least 25 years old to take part in this. We'll get to that in just a moment. But there's going to be nearly 1,000 cars on Main Street today here in Manchester. So definitely a lot for people to see. And joining me now is actually Ed Firestone, who is the co-founder of the Cruisin on Main Street event. So the first thing, how did you sort of come up with this idea to hold this event, which is now in its 14th year?
Well, traditionally, downtown Manchester in its heyday, was all the businesses were open, people got paid on Thursday nights, and people were all on Main Street. And as a teenager, everybody would drive up and down Main Street. There was a rotary at the top of Main Street and a rotary at the bottom of Main Street. And you would drive up, turn around at the rotary, go back up, until the police told you to get off the street.
So people listened. So then years later, you decided, let's sort of bring that nostalgia back. Let's have a car show.
Right. I felt that it was time to bring people back to Main Street, and it does. It brings people back from all over the Northeast, come back, and they tell me, I remember Main Street. I remember cruising Main Street, and when they tell us about the cars that they drove.
So a trip down memory lane. Now, we have your car here. We're going to show it. Tell us a little bit about your car.
My car, this is one of my cars. It's a 1949 Hudson Super 6 Brougham, which is a two-door sedan. I originally purchased the car in 1978, and I spent 26 years doing a ground-up restoration on it.
So a lot of work. I mean, what is it like for this thing? Do you kind of keep it parked? Do you drive it around? Because some people, they don't want to drive them around. Some people, they're all over the place in them.
I don't drive it around as much as I should. It's actually the worst thing to do is let the car sit, and unfortunately I do let it sit. But I have been trying to drive it more, and I have two sons that grew up in the back seat of my Hudsons, and they drive them now.
So it's become a family affair, and there will certainly be a lot of cars like these today around. So Ed, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate it. So, and listen, there's a couple things I learned while talking to Ed here this morning. If this is your first time coming down to a car show, there is a little bit of etiquette. First, when you're close to the cars, you don't touch, and you shouldn't ask the owner how much they're worth. So those are two things you should certainly keep in mind. Car show starts this morning at 11 o'clock, goes until 4 this afternoon. Registration begins at 8, is $10. The money goes towards charity, and of course, if you're a spectator, it is free. We're reporting live this morning from Manchester. Brian Spyros, News 8.